My name is Rod Chelberg, and I'm a retired medical doctor, and I'm really honored to be on your show and to give you my story. A little bit about me. I've spent 28 years as a medical doctor. I trained in internal medicine and adult internal crisis medicine. And after that, I became a regular GP doing internal medicine and ICU medicine. Later in my life, I did 14 years as an emergency room physician, and I dealt with a lot of trauma, a lot of death and dying, but a lot of people also did well. Following this, I became the medical director for 4 nursing homes in Bangor, as well as the medical director for the hospice program here. I was in 2nd grade, and I was suffering from a massive kidney infection, and I was treated with penicillin, an antibiotic. Unfortunately, I had an allergic reaction to it and I stopped breathing. And that was in 2nd grade. What happened is I started to see darkness all around me, and this fear of death encompassed me. I started to float out of my body, and then I went down this long black tunnel. And as I went down that tunnel, peace descended upon me, and I became more and more confident and comfortable. I felt peace. Then I saw a beautiful white light in front of me, and I was drawn to it. And I said, I'm going home. I'm being called home. It was a very pleasant sensation. Halfway there, the doctors had resuscitated me, and I started to breathe again, and I was brought back immediately into my body. So I never went into this beautiful white light. And I woke up. I thought it was a dream. I didn't pay any attention to it. But what happened in that experience is I was given 3 gifts. I was given the gift of seeing colors on people's hearts, red, green, and blue. I was given the gift of learning to astral travel. And I was given the gift of learning divine meditation, where I could get so quiet in my mind that I could see and feel the presence of God. So the near-death experience was wonderful. And I was blessed in that I was given 3 gifts. So the initial reaction I had was the fear of death. I was raised Catholic and worried that I'm dying. It's an innate fear in all of us. We believe we're bodies and that life is going to end, that's it, you're done. I was terrified, and it's like I went through a rising up, and I had to see above that concept and then look at my body and say, that's not me. And you get to a point where you disconnect from that fear. I disconnected from time and space. I disconnected from my thought as a body. And I can tell you this in retrospect, as a child, I was just scared and wondering what the heck this was. But I knew I was dying, and I was terrified. My body sort of rotated upright. So I'm perpendicular to my body, and I'm being drawn, then I'm being pulled like gravity pulls you down, and I'm feeling this attraction of peace and joy and love. And there's this white light that shines away all of my fears and shines away the concepts that I am a body. There's more to me, and I become, in essence, a thought. And I call it now a thought of love. That's our true essence, is we are a thought of love in the mind of God. This body is stripped away, our concepts are stripped away, time and space is stripped away, and we're left with our divine essence of who we truly are. So I went through this long, dark tunnel, and the farther I went into it, the light kept getting brighter and brighter, shining on me, shining away my thoughts, my illusions, and reminding me that I am in fact a divine being. And now I can say I'm a divine being having a human experience. Analogous to, you're the driver of a car, and the car thinks it's real, but it's not. You're the driver, the car breaks down and dies, you step out. That fear is our ego mind that we sense. It's our world, it's our family. I'm very attached to that. Now that's being pulled away from me, what I consider to be reality, and it's terrifying. What's going to happen to me? Where's mom and dad? I'm alone, are my thoughts. As I go down this tunnel, it's you are not alone, you are loved, and you are returning to your divine essence. You are a thought of love in the mind of the divine. That's who you are. Please come home. In this experience, my initial reaction was that death was death. That's it. You're done. There's no God. This is it. That feeling was so powerful, so engulfing. It's terrifying. It's the only word I can say about it. As I rotated and changed my perspective, then I saw that the reality that we call death is not real, if that makes any sense. And I said, I am not this body anymore. I am now a divine being. And the fear went away. The fear is associated with the body and the concepts. You look at someone who's dying, you're going, oh, they've died. And we assume that's final. We don't assume or know about it's a transition of one form of energy into a higher form of energy. You return to your divine essence. As I went from my fearful state, I was stuck, if you will, but that love poured into me and revealed itself as light, and it washed away all my fears, and I felt joy and peace. I'm going home. We're stuck sometimes with death is final. In the ground, goodbye. That's it. He was a nice person, and we mourn that. But what if you're wrong? What if you could see with spiritual vision that your loved ones are still there and how beautiful it is and how happy it is? That's what I was going to, but I didn't get all the way there. I wish I did, but I came back. When I was a child and I had these three gifts of seeing colors, astral projection, and meditation, I didn't do anything with them because my friends didn't see them. And I said, don't you see colors on people's hearts? No. Can't you float around the farm and look at people? No. I said, yeah. I just shut that down. I shut those divine gifts down because I wanted to fit in and not be the odd kid on the block. Like there's something wrong with him. And I shut those gifts down all the way until I went into medical school. And it was during my late medical school, 4th year, in internal medicine residency, that those gifts started to come back to me. And they came back as, quote, visions and voices. And I wrote about this in my book, When God Calls, Say Yes. For the purpose of this talk, I can tell you that you can recreate this near-death experience by meditating. I learned that by learning to quiet my mind, and it took a few years of practice, that I could learn to leave this body behind, astral project, out-of-body experience, whatever you want to call it, and go home and go into this infinite white light of love. And I made it inside this beautiful sphere of infinite dimensions. It's beautiful white light. And all you feel is love, peace, and joy. There's no more concept of rod. There's no more fear. There's no concept of time or body. So you can have a near-death experience by meditating. It's just you don't have to go through the suffocation or dying or the trauma. It's a much easier way to do this. But you learn there's more to life than what your human eyes and senses are showing you. There's a lot of fear surrounding death. Society doesn't like it. It says you have to look like 20-year-old perfect every day, even though you're 90 years old. We can't die, God forbid. In the medical profession, we see that as a failure. We have to do hip replacements on 90-year-old patients. We did everything we could. Okay, it's okay to die at home. That's the purpose of hospice. To die in a hospital, in a sterile environment with all the noise and the alarms, and it's chaotic. Wouldn't you rather be at home, your loved ones, your memories? You raised your kids there. There's a lot of positive energy in a home, which is not in a hospital. It's the sterile environment, don't touch, oh, we can't talk about it. And it's like, I don't want to be contaminated. It's weird things that we embrace and think about. I loved hospice. I would much rather somebody was in hospice than in a nursing home. And in hospice, we keep somebody in their house and we go to them, provide a lot of care. That fear, we have chaplains that come in and talk with people. The doctors talk to people. We alleviate their fear. That's a block to love's presence. So we alleviate the fear, and then they start to go, oh, I have nothing to worry about. Death is a natural part of life. We love birth, but death is like, oh, it's permanent, it's terminal. But guess what? It's not. And with practice, you get comfortable, very comfortable with helping someone to leave. You want to give them love and help them to sit up, their spiritual body sit up, like I did in my near-death experience. Laying down, I was terrified. What changed? I changed my perspective. I sat up. You don't want to hold that person down with fear. You want to say, I'm going to help them set up so they can see that beautiful light. And then that beautiful light's going to come and pull them home. And you're going to watch that. I call that process birthing someone into heaven. So I'm going to help you, and I'm going to hold you in love and help you to sit up and go home. My first experience of this was in the ER. It was a very profound mystical experience. An 80-year-old woman was coming in by ambulance who was in asystole, which means her heart had stopped. She came into the emergency room and I ran the code for 20 minutes. She died. So I called the code. Then everybody left and I held her hand to my chest and I said, loving Father, take this lady home, my last act. And in that instant, the lights in the whole ER room lit up into scintillating white light. And the red aura, like in a bead shape of love, came on my right side. The lady's aura turned perfectly white and she sat upright in bed. And I can see her perfectly, but she's pure white. And she says to me, thank you. She merges with this beautiful aura and they go off and these beautiful golden doors open up and they go into that. That was my start, my very first mystical experience of birthing someone into heaven. That story has been repeated many times for me, and it's such a blessing and a gift to say, that one made it, they're going home, they're not coming back. It's love. The more you can relax and be at peace and not be afraid and say, this is natural, in your mind saying, I'm going to help them to lift up, and then the divine is going to come and take them. The physical body is going to end. There's no doubt about it. But the spiritual body is pure life energy, which is eternal. We have a concept of birth and death. We love the birth part, the death part, not so good. It's just we've been taught fear. So we learn to let go of the fear and be at peace. The divine comes into us, brings us peace, and then brings peace to the patient, to your loved one. Then they can go home. So your last act is to say, if nothing else, I offer you peace, and I offer you gratitude and thankfulness. When you're having a near-death experience, realize that it's God talking to you and giving you the option, do you want to stay or do you want to go home? And if you choose to go back, and it is a choice, that you will be given gifts that will mature later in life. That's one message. Second, if you've had a near-death experience and you're very depressed and upset, you can transcend that by learning meditation and recreating that through the art of meditation. That is how you heal those trauma memories. They are very real, they're fear. And the third is God is always calling you home. Are you listening? There is more to life than this body. So I listened and I learned meditation, and then I could hear God. And finally, was then able to bring that beautiful message back to the side of somebody who's dying and bring them the peace of God. And in the dying process, in my mind, saying, you're going that way. You're not going to get stuck in this idea of fear and loss and grief. There's more to life than what meets the eye. You transition from one form of energy, a low density, into a very high, fast, loving energy. The people that I've seen crossed over, every single one of them was filled with light and joy and happiness. That's where you're going. Keep that in mind. Your loved one is not gone. Their body's gone, but they are not. They have gone home.